If you're a lover of all things audio and music gear, then you're in the right place. Moon Audio carries an already curated collection of the best audiophile gear out there. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our latest videos and reviews right here at Moon Audio. If you're an audiophile, then you probably already know about the brand we're going to discuss today. Chord Electronics makes some of the best audiophile-grade gear on the market, and we're proud to carry them here at Moon Audio. Chord hails not far from London, and their base of operations reside in what they call the Pump House. John Franks and Rob Watts are two sides of the same audiophile coin, and with over 30 years of experience and some of the top and most popular products on the audiophile market, it's pretty clear they know what they're doing. With that being said, Drew and I are here today to tell you about Chord's amazing product lineup, some quick info on what we love about them, and as always, you can read much more in our Chord Electronics guide, which we'll link to in the description below. If you're looking for some of the best DACs, streaming modules, amps, both portable and desktop options, then you're in the right place. So let's get to it. Not that it really needs that much introduction, it's nice to start our guide off with such a notable and popular product. The Mojo 2 DAC is incredibly portable, built well, has plenty of great I/O, and most importantly, sounds amazing. The best thing about the Mojo 2 is that it gives the user more control over how their music sounds, with an expanded menu system allowing you to adjust things like high or low gain, specific frequency bands, select filters, crossfeed, and more. The noise floor is also greatly improved from the last generation, and overall sound impressions are better as well, with more bass extension and a noticeable boost in depth and detail. The menu system can be a bit daunting at first since Chord maintains their colored ball controls, but after playing with it for about a day or so, I was becoming familiar enough. Coax, optical, USB-C, and micro-B audio transmission, dual 3.5mm headphone jacks for simultaneous playback with two headphones, and you have a high-fidelity do-it-all powerhouse box that fits in your pocket. The Poly is the wireless streaming attachment for the Mojo, allowing you to turn the Mojo into a fully functional, high-res streaming device. The Poly had a rough launch to be sure, but since the update to the version 3.0 firmware, the experience has been the real fully fledged experience it was meant to be. It connects right into the micro-B jacks on the Mojo and is designed to fit like a seamless extension of the Mojo itself. The Poly adds Bluetooth for connection to your source device, and it can access music by streaming over Wi-Fi, network storage devices, and even libraries stored on micro SD cards with the built-in slot. Poly can run for about 9 hours on a single charge and has pass-through charging as well, so you can charge the Poly and the Mojo at the same time, which is nice. AirPlay, Roon Ready, DLNA compatible, support up to 768, it does it all. And combined with the Mojo, there's hardly a portable setup that compares. The Chord Huey is one of the best pairings with your turntable. And if you don't see it, it's because we don't have it here, but with the power of video and YouTube magic, we're going to show you what it looks like right now. It helps integrate turntables into your hi-fi system and has both moving magnet and moving coil functionality. The Huey is compatible with a large number of cartridges and has high and low gain and impedance matching options to help. I like the form factor, small and it doesn't take up a lot of room, but it also doesn't sacrifice top quality features and functionality. It fits in the stack pack from Chord with the Annie and the Cutest as well. I tested it in my setup for the Annie review, and I was impressed with not just how simple it was to set up and integrate the turntable into the system, but also how clean it helped the signal sound. It has RCA balanced and XLR unbalanced outputs and a pair of RCA inputs as well. If you're a vinyl lover, then the Huey is a no-brainer. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Oh, you're filming now? Crap, okay. The Annie is Chord's first ever desktop integrated amplifier, meaning that it has both an amp and a preamp. It fits pretty well with the Huey and the Cutest, and Chord even developed a nice stackable stand for the three since they have the same form factor. Now, the Annie can power both headphones and small bookshelf speakers and has connections for both, obviously. I like the compact design of the Annie and the other two units, and it makes a perfect small form factor setup without sacrificing high quality sound. The Annie keeps the well-known Chord detail, which is great for analytical listeners, but I also found it paired especially well with warmer toned headphones and speakers, helping to offset the analytical nature of the amp while keeping a lot of the detail and crispness. The Annie has a good amount of functionality for the size, and whereas it might seem a bit pricey for the size, it's completely justified by the sweet sounds that come out of this thing. Check out our review of the Annie for more sound impressions, specs, and details. There's plenty to talk about with the Annie despite the size, and will make a great option for those wanting big amplification without a big footprint. Now, to complete the stack pack, we still have the Cutest to talk about, and Drew's going to tell you a little bit more about that. So take it away, Drew.
Thanks, Ricky. So let's talk about the Cutest stack. This is priced at $21.25 and is really the best bang for the buck in the D to A conversion lineup of all the Chord products. This comes in at the more powerful D to A conversion above the Hugo 2 with more digital filtering taps in the FPGA digital technology. You'll see that I've got it stacked here with the Annie. You can also stack it with the Huey for the phono stage. I'm going to spin this around so we can talk a little bit about what's going on with how we can connect the different ways with the Cutest. So you'll see here that we've created some really short, compact interconnect cables that will go between the Cutest, the Annie, and the Huey. We don't have a Huey right now, so I can't show everything, and I really didn't want to have way too much clutter of cables. But all of these work off of a singular power supply that splits off and powers all three units at the same time. We've got these each utilized on to the stacking system that you can buy each individual stack piece so that you can sit each unit on top of each other. The Cutest has two BNC digital inputs. It's got a Toslink input and USB input, and then the power over here, analog outputs here. So you can do either one or two digital sources on the BNCs, or you can do upsampling on just about all the D-A processors from the Mojo all the way up to the Dave with this M scaler by utilizing dual BNC inputs. I'm not going to get into all of the specs of each one of these D-As. Just know as you go from Mojo to Hugo 2 to Cutest to TT2 to Dave, you keep increasing the tap filtering count and the algorithms that are going on to power the FPGA. And as you go up, things become more in focus, more detail, more resolution, more clarity, tighter bass, the Cutest being the perfect sweet spot of all of this. That's all for the Cutest. Let's go back to Ricky for more.
The Hugo 2 is the Mac Daddy of portable DACs and headphone amplifiers. Do people still say Mac Daddy? No? Oh, I don't know. All right, despite the size, I think it works just as well in a desktop system too. And it certainly has enough power for your favorite headphones in both cases. You'll find optical, coax, HD USB, a pair of RCAs, 3.5mm and 1/4-inch headphone jacks. The Hugo 2 features Chord's love or hate colored knobs for controls. Knobs? Marbles? Buttons? Yeah, whatever. They're certainly unique in the industry, but they work well. It's on the analytical side when it comes to sound signature like most Chord products, and there's no shortage of detail and clarity. It's hands down one of the best sounding DACs on the market, and Chord includes crossfeed and filter options to tailor the sound to your liking. Battery life is good with about 7 hours of a device of this size. Chord designs their products to integrate well with other Chord products. And if you want one of the best sounding setups I ever heard, then you can pair the Hugo 2 with the M scaler, which I'll talk about in a little bit. It also pairs seamlessly with the 2Go, transforming it into a fully fledged streamer and server. The possibilities are endless, and the Hugo 2 keeps me discovering new things in my favorite music all the time. It's a sonic wonder, and it's one of the best audiophile products out there. The 2Go is like the Poly, but for the Hugo 2. It's a high-performance streamer and server that transforms the Hugo 2 into a full-featured Wi-Fi or Ethernet-enabled device. Like all the Chord streaming devices, you'll set it up and control it through the Go Figure app, and it can be configured with a 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi or Ethernet. It has dual micro SD slots, so you can pack tons of local storage on there, and can also be configured as a Roon endpoint and server. Add multi-room streaming and gapless playback, and you have a feature-packed, portable hi-fi setup that has everything you could possibly want. It's also compatible with the 2U, making it a fully standalone music streamer with digital output. I think one of the coolest things about the 2Go is hotspot mode, which allows the 2Go to broadcast its own Wi-Fi signal if it cannot connect to a static network. The 2Go and Hugo 2 pairing will offer much better sound quality and power than the Mojo and the Poly, and it should be a serious consideration for those wanting the best in what portable hi-fi has to offer. The 2U is a neat little product from Chord, allowing you to connect it to the 2Go and making the pair act functionally like a standalone music streamer and server. It's only a direct interface for the 2Go, giving you digital outputs that can be used to provide a LAN connection when combined with other DACs. It connects directly to the 2Go to add Toslink optical SPDIF, coax RCA, and or BNC, as well as USB audio out. Essentially, you can turn any DAC into a Roon endpoint without direct connection to a computer. The Chord color balls add controls for the output select, power, mute, and dim functions. If you're wanting to connect to other legacy DACs for full-on streaming integration, then the 2U is a simple but effective product to add to your system with the 2Go. I'm going to let Drew take over from here, and we'll be back together at the end of the product overview to share our thoughts. Take it away, Drew.
Thanks a lot, Ricky. Now we're going to start talking about the tabletop line. Now there are 3 products in this category. There's the Hugo TT2 DAC and headphone amplifier, which is priced at $67.25. We have the M scaler below this, and I'm not sure if Ricky said the price or not, but I'll do it again, $56.50. And then what I'm not showing here today is the T-Toby stereo power amplifier, which is priced at $44.50, and it would stack underneath this whole setup. Again, as we go up the chain, the tap counts are increasing, and we're going to put those specs up on the screen so you can see the differences. Think of it like buying a Dell computer, right? You've got lots of different laptops to look at. Each one has a different power supply, different RAM, different hard drive, different processor. Now, this is a special animal in that now they have greatly increased the headphone amp and the ability to drive just about any headphone on the planet. It has a ton of power. Almost too much power for most headphones. And I'm going to take a quick peek at the back of the amplifier here. You're going to see that I've included here 2 female XLR to XLR adapters. Why am I doing this? Most balanced headphone cables are going to come with dual 3-pin male XLRs. So this provides a way to continue using that existing cable you have and just using a set of adapters. Can we make a balanced headphone cable that has female XLRs on it? Sure. And then we can do the opposite adapters that go from male to male to use with your other equipment. What I'm also showing here is our form-fit Silver Dragon digital cables here. Okay, and basically if you go to our Silver Dragon digital cable page, if you pick the 1.5 foot length, in the box below that with a data field, you can say, hey, I'm buying the TT2 and the M scaler and I want the custom fit short stacking digital cables to go between the two. Now these are what's doing the dual data rate from the M scaler. What is the M scaler doing? It is upsampling all of your music to a higher resolution. Depending on the input resolution, you can get anywhere from 384 up to 768. And depending on which input you use. Again, I primarily use USB input on the M scaler, as this gives me much more flexibility of being able to do PCM, DSD, different resolutions. The digital processor in here, like I said, much more powerful than the Cutest, half the power of the Chord Dave, about twice the power of the Hugo 2. So the D to A conversion in here is fantastic. This is really, while I call this the best bang for the buck, this is where you really get the most for the money. That is, if you're into headphones, if you need a preamp, because this operates as a digital preamp and can go straight into an amplifier like the TT Toby and act as an all-in-one device. It does not have any analog inputs, so you've got to do USB. What else? Okay, so let's talk about the TT Toby, which I don't have here. The TT Toby has 100 watts per channel into a 4 ohm load. So we'll just say, if you do the math, maybe about 60 watts into 8 ohms. They are very well known at Chord, not just for their FPGAs, but John Franks is an amazing designer of power supplies. And what they utilize in most of their product is a switch mode power supply. And in the TT Toby, they've got 2 of them, one for each one of the rails. Typically, I'm not a big fan of switching power supplies. I like linear power supplies. Chord is the first company that I can say that I can truly, really stand behind a switching power supply. All of their power amplifiers sound phenomenal with this technology. So that's the tabletop line. Now we're going to get into talking about the Dave and the Etude I have over here. So give me a second to move things around, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so here we have the Chord Dave DAC and preamplifier, priced at $14K. It is not cheap, but what I can say is, since 2015 upon its release, this DAC has sat at my desk for 7 straight years. And for that matter, it's never been turned off. I only turn it off when I go on vacation. This has never had a single glitch, a single issue, anything. It is the most long-standing DAC I've ever had on my desk, and that's saying something. This is one of my all-time favorite pieces of tech. It operates as both a headphone amp, a preamp, a digital preamp, no analog inputs, and a D to A converter. This is, without a doubt, the most resolute, cleanest, most resolving, without losing musicality. Very incredible sounding piece of equipment. I use this with all kinds of headphones. It does not have the power of the TT2. So if I have a pair of Susvaras, the TT2 is going to be more in line with what I'm going to go with. But I typically use Focal Utopias, Stellias. I use a lot of custom IEMs with this. It's incredibly quiet, okay? Now you can put this, like all of the other DACs, into either DAC mode or preamp mode. In DAC mode, you can use this with other preamps. So this can operate just as a straight DAC for you, and it bypasses the gain stages of the headphone amp and the preamp stages, and it'll operate just as a DAC. I use it in a preamp mode. I use it with this Etude. So this is the Etude amplifier, and it's priced at $6,000. It's rated at 150 RMS per channel into 4 ohms. Now, John Franks has stepped it up and gone from 2 switch mode high frequency power supplies, 1 on each rail, to a third in the auxiliary section. So we've built upon the the T-Toby, sorry. Lots of T's going on. And we've improved things further. We've added more power. We've added more complex power supply. All of these amplifiers have balanced and single-ended inputs. However, all of these devices are only single-ended. So all of the balanced inputs and outputs are what we will call a pseudo-balanced input and output. That's not to say they don't sound good and not to use them, but just want you to know that these are all true single-ended devices. Now, we have a lot of the same digital inputs that the other DACs have. We've got, first let me talk about these 4 BNC connections here. These are meant for future products yet to be developed. There are a few of these on the M Scaler and some other products that will hopefully be used at some point in the future. We've got the dual BNC inputs for the M Scaler. We've got AES now added, which we didn't have on the TT2. We've got optical USB. Again, I am a real big advocate of the USB connection. That's how I'm using this. And then we've got balance and RCA analog outputs, just like the TT DAC. With the switch of a switch, we can put the etude into balance mode, and we can double the power of the etude. So you can utilize 2 etudes if you've got a harder to drive speakers. We've done a lot of experimenting with the T-Toby and the etude. We've driven Canta 2s, we've driven Sopra 2s, we have driven Bryston signature Ts and the middle Ts. I'd say the etude and the T-Toby can drive the signature T Brystons, but not to real gritty and really earth-shaking sound. But at good normal listening levels, it's fantastic. These do much better with the Canta and the Sopras, which are a little bit easier to drive. We've got the volume control up here. I didn't go through a lot of the controls on the T-Toby, but this one's interesting. I just love this control. Essentially, it's the volume control, it's the mute button. You've got different buttons here that all rotate that you can change to do all kinds of different sample rates and filters and so forth. The next stack is going to be impressive, and we're going to have to move all this stuff off the table so we can talk about it. So stay tuned for the next group of products. So now we step up to the big boy toys. This is the Ultima Pre 2, and it's priced at $15,900. Next to it is its companion amplifier, the Ultima 6 amplifier. It's priced at $91.95. It's rated at 180 watts per channel into 8 ohms. And also in the same form factor, which I don't have here right now, is the Ultima 5 amplifier. It's priced at $14,600, and it's 350 watts RMS per channel into 8 ohms. I also have another preamp. It's a brand new preamp. We haven't gotten it in yet. It's called the Ultima preamp, and it's priced at $84.95. It has a lot less bells and whistles than this Ultima Pre, and we'll talk about it in a second. I'm still showing the Chord Dave here because this is the reference DAC to be utilized with this system. The Ultima Pre 2 is hands down the best preamplifier, best sounding, best performance that we sell at Moon Audio. It is amazing. I am flabbergasted every time I listen to it, and I typically use it with the Ultima amplifier. The Ultima amplifier, in comparison to the other stereo amplifiers, is a true balanced design. So your balanced inputs on the back are true balanced architecture into your Class AB MOSFET design. Again, switch mode power supplies, more of them in this amplifier. Each time you go up, more things are controlled independently by their own power supplies, and that's why this is such a dynamic and sweet sounding amp. It has effortless control on every speaker we've played. There isn't a speaker in the house that does not sound wonderful with it. With the big boy signature T Bryston speakers, this handles it with authority and incredible dynamics. Will the Ultima 5 with 350 watts drive them even better? Yes, but there isn't a huge jump in performance between the two, and this is really our go-to amp and the best bang for the buck. Back to the preamp. So this preamp has a ton of inputs and outputs and all kinds of configurations. It's got an AV pass-through so that you can use it with your home theater setup, where essentially we bypass the gain stage. This is very important if you have multiple volume controls in the path. This can cause all kinds of issues, not only with setting up your sound features in your home theater, but also it just doesn't sound good to run through multiple gain controls. We've got a plethora of four balanced analog inputs. We've got 6 RCA inputs. And then, like I said, we've got the AV pass-through. We've got balanced outputs and single-ended outputs to go into this amplifier. We run balanced from this into the Ultima, and then with the RCA outputs, we run to a pair of subs in our demo room. Very flexible animal. You now come with this really beefy remote control when you step up to the Ultima line. This will control some of the other products by Chord. One of the downsides to a lot of the other Chord products, the remote is very tiny and plastic, and it isn't sexy as this one. This one's built out of true billet aluminum, has a plethora of more options. I wish they would do a little more complex remotes for some of the other products, especially the Chord Dave. But I use the Chord Dave in conjunction with this Ultima, and the sound is just sublime. Incredible setup, probably one of the best setups that we have at Moon Audio. So that's our comprehensive guide to all things Chord. Now, we couldn't list everything on the table. Where can we find the other stuff, Ricky?
So we do have our buyer's guide for all the Chord products that we featured here in the video and our blog. Check that out. You can also go to our website, check out brands, click on Chord. There's all the products there, specs, everything you want to know. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up and remember to subscribe so you don't miss all of our future videos and reviews. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And as always, thanks for watching.
See you next time.